The United States of America's governing body system, known as the government, will fall. Let's start from the beginning. America is in debt $18 trillion. Of this $18 trillion, China owns $1.27 trillion of it. That number is important because over the years it will grow and grow more exponentially than all of the other debts that America will stack up because of all the manufactured products America buys from China. So everyone knows of the rumors surrounding America about how they experiment, the government experiments on people, drugs them, or tries to use mind control to make them do whatever the government wants them to do, about how Elliot Rodger's shooting was staged, the Columbine massacre, James Holmes, Michelle Obama is a man and Barack Obama is a liar and a homosexual, about how the government has made contact with aliens and is keeping it from the public. No matter how ridiculous or outlandish these rumors are, all rumors have some source of truth to them, some sense of truth. However, even if there is not enough viable evidence to say that all of these incidents are true and that the government is doing all these things, if you think of it from a psychological standpoint, it makes sense. The government controls the entire United States, excluding state laws. And so, all these people are, with all this power, these people would be corrupt. They would, the power would go to their heads. They would want more and more, and they're being let in on all these secrets the government has, and they would just be conceited. They would all want to have this power. So, let's say that somebody in the government wasn't like this. Let's say they were kind-hearted people, and they wanted to make America a good place. They wanted everything to be good and positive. They had this idealistic notion. It would be so easy to dissuade them from this notion if you just said something like, hey, if these experiments work with the aliens, we could be immortal, or at least have superhuman abilities. Wouldn't that be nice? Or they could bribe them with a raise in their paycheck. Or if this person were really clear on his standing of illegal experiments and he just absolutely did not stand for them, the dissuading arguments would turn to threats. They would threaten to kill his entire family and him if he weren't quiet about it. Or they could just kill him, whatever is easy. Anyway, at some point, the government will make a crucial mistake with these experiments. They will let slip something. This could be a photograph. This could be an actual subject that survived. Or it could be somebody in the government who couldn't take it anymore and just leaked as much information as he could, which has happened before. So it probably will happen again. So after the people in America hear this, they will be outraged. There will be riots. And other countries may or may not care about these experiments because they're probably conducting experiments themselves. It doesn't really matter, though. They will, however, be wanting to collect the ever-growing debt America owes them, because by this time, America will have purchased all sorts of high-priced nuclear resources from these countries, these people, and it'll all start with China, because by this time, China's debt will be $5 trillion, and once this evidence leaks, China will be a bit annoyed, because they'll realize that America isn't planning on paying them back. America was just going to get resources from them, and once their experiments worked, if they did work, they were planning on ruling the entire world, and they weren't planning on paying them back, so China would be a bit annoyed. So then these countries, China will declare war on America, and then will also try to persuade all the other countries to do the same. And these other countries will do it because China will be quite persuasive. So then, the war won't last long. The countries will all invade America and imprison all of the high government officials. But also, they're going to tell the general public, the general American public, that they're just gonna ward them off, because they'll tell them something like, there's radioactivity in these labs, so if it spreads, it could be very bad, so you all have to stay out, and they'll ward them off with caution tape or whatever, and there will be soldiers everywhere, and then all these countries will take these resources, these experimental toys, and keep them hidden, and then after this, all the American people will move to different countries, different places in the world, because there will be no governing body system to keep them in check, because the government has fallen, and nobody can decide on who gets the land, the government land, the American land. So all these people will go to different places. And on a side note, on a more domestic note, once Americans are relocated to new areas, there will be an overlapping era of creativity. Because once these people move to different places, they'll fall in love with people that they usually wouldn't meet. People who they can't actually understand because they speak different languages. They'll fall in love with them. It's just what's gonna happen. And then there will be new books, movies, TV shows, all about how the move affected them and about how they fell in love with these people. It'll be a revolutionary era. So the land that Americans stood on would be split for several uses. Nobody would own it. No specific country would own it. It would be a safe haven for animals, specifically endangered animals, so they could live on this land without being disturbed by humans being hunted. And the second use for it would be, because of America's great soil, places like California would be used for growing food. And also, America would be a meeting place for top officials from different countries to discuss important matters. If it's an important meeting, that's where it would be. And the most important reason is that this land will be used to experiment on people, make contact with aliens, all sorts of things, just like the United States government did. This would be different, however, because they wouldn't be disturbed by common people, and if the subjects escaped captivity, the experimental subjects, they would not be able to escape, because American land, there are no people besides the people conducting experiments. And also, if someone in this new government wanted to leak information, well, it would be a bit difficult, because he would be arrested pretty easily, and they could maybe disable internet there, so they can't leak information. And then and also, these experiments, these countries would allow people in America, normal people, to vacation in America for the money, because rich people would pay a lot of money for a fun time in a country no one else is allowed to be in. And so this money would go to their experiments, the different countries, etc. And then many, many decades later, one of the many rich groups would visit the United States for a vacation. Nothing strange about that. However, one person went beyond the boundaries of which he was tied to and discovered evidence that the high officials were conducting experiments. This evidence could be, again, pictures, a subject, doesn't matter. And then This would spark a new revolutionary era in which he returns to his homeland to expose his findings. He might bring the photos he found, or just nothing. But before this point, there were people who suspected that this was happening, but they were not heard. Because it would be, if people would think about it, it would be pretty obvious that they're conducting experiments. But because there was no evidence, nobody cared, and these people were never heard. So once this person comes back, even more rumors were spreading, and more people started to believe him. Over a long period of time, maybe 50 years, or 30, doesn't... more and more people will believe it, and then eventually they will get a force to invade America and expose these illegal experiments. And then after this, yet another era would start. This era will be, well, I don't know. It stretches beyond my imagination, because there's only so much I can predict.